Hello, everybody, and welcome to Podcast Period, the internet's stupidest podcast. With me today is my co-host, David.
What's up, guys?
And we've got a guest on the show for the first time in probably about 8 or 9 episodes. We've got Danielle from the Ghoulish Cast.
Hello. I feel important now.
You're very important. All of our guests are important.
That's right.
Yay.
Except
let
for
anybody take that away from you.
Except for Kevin. Kevin was not a very important person.
Oh, poor Kevin.
Anyway, so this is our special Halloween episode. I don't really know what's going to be that special about it, but here it is. David and I... Yeah, you're right. It is spooky. My bad. David and I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, which apparently Danielle has seen probably about a bajillion times. But it was our first time. So we're going to talk about that, and then we've got some scary stories that I've collected from good old Reddit. Don't know what the quality is like, but we're going to go with it either way.
For sure.
All right. So lead us off with the discussion, Danielle. What are you thinking about?
So, first, I was very surprised when you said you had never seen it. When I messaged you or you messaged me, I can't remember who, but you were saying, I said, what's the talking points of, what we're going to talk about? And you're like, well, we haven't seen it. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to be talking about the remake. And then you were like, no, the original. I'm like, what? I can't believe you guys haven't seen it. But
I lived a very, very sheltered childhood, so I'm catching up on a lot of things.
Yeah. So, first question is, what did you think? Did you like it? Were you scared?
I wasn't scared, but it was probably partially because I had my son running around and the subtitles were on and everything, so I didn't have the right spooky atmosphere, but I did like it. It was a very, very interesting movie. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, Freddy is hard not to like as a killer. He's got like the one-liners and he can shapeshift into different stuff, and obviously you guys probably haven't seen the other movies, right?
Yeah, there wasn't really all that much of that in this movie, but I especially with that ending, I'm really interested to see what the next one has.
Yeah, they have a ton of him shapeshifting into different things, but in the first one, it has some of if you look online, like the lists of top deaths or kills in horror movies, there's a lot taken from this movie. So I'm wondering, what was your favorite death?
Mine was definitely the death where what was his name? I think it was Johnny Depp's character where he got killed.
Yeah.
And the blood was like running up towards the ceiling.
Yep. Okay.
That was a super interesting effect. I really, really like that.
That's exactly what mine was going to be for that very reason.
Yeah, that death is like number 1 or 2 in like so many lists, but it's I always wonder how it's shot, for one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just they flipped the set and then they just had blood dripping down. Yeah, and then they filmed it upside down or right side up, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But either way, for a 1980s movie, that's a really, really interesting effect. I liked it.
Yeah, and it was scary to me, like him getting sucked into the bed.
Oh yeah, no, that was crazy.
Gone.
I mean, I told my sister, so we watched it the other day just to we've been following a /tober, a watch one movie every day October list, And so instead of following other people's lists, we put together like a slasher one, and it just so happened that Nightmare on Elm Street was the movie that day when you reached out to me, and I was like, oh, well, let's watch it. And so we watched it, and we were talking, and we were like, I love sleep. So if there was a killer who was going to kill me in my sleep, you're just going to have to kill me, because I cannot. Like, watching Nancy just take those I don't even know what they were, like speed pills and
caffeine
drinking
pills
coffee.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, no freaking way. Like, I need to sleep, so.
I could stay up like a night if I had to, but you're not going to see me stay up like 4 or 5 nights in a row. There is literally no way. I will fall asleep on my way to work or like just sitting on the couch or something. No way would I survive that.
Exactly. Also, this movie, I don't know if you noticed when it starts, it says introducing Johnny Depp. So he's this is like his first movie, and it's so weird to see him in horror movies or like a horror movie like that.
I saw that, and I kept trying to figure out which character he was. I didn't even realize that he was Glenn until I looked it up after I finished the movie. He looks nothing like he does now.
Yeah, no.
Like even if you de-aged his photo down to what he would have been, I don't think it would look anything like he actually did.
No.
And he wore that like iconic like crop top and like the headphones. Like that's like the iconic like 80s look. But it
reminded me of like Marty from Back to the Future almost.
Yes, exactly.
Watching that now.
And they have like this one had Johnny Depp. There's Friday the 13th has Kevin Bacon, and then Leprechaun has Jennifer Aniston. So it's like all these old horror movies like started these people out, and if you talk to them now, they're like almost embarrassed about it. Like Jennifer Aniston hates that she was in Leprechaun, and I'm like, this got your career going. Like these are classic movies now. But
she's just mad that she didn't start her career with Friends.
Yeah, true.
Not that Friends was really all that great, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, before she got her nose job.
That's why she hates it, because it's pre-nose job.
Pre-nose job. Yeah. There's a scene, speaking of nose job, there's a scene in Freddy vs. Jason, which you guys need to... If you started the first movie, you have to just keep going now. You have to watch all of them.
We're probably going to end up... I don't know if we're going to do podcasts on them or not, but we're probably just going to end up watching like all of them on our own time. At least I am.
They're all so good. Like, there are some Friday the 13th ones that I don't like, but Freddy, it's just kind of classic all the way through, because Freddy is not he's like not serious. Like Robert Englund plays him so like wacky and one-liner funny stuff, so it's almost like better if it's campy. But there's a part in Freddy vs. Jason which people are gonna hate me for saying this, but it's my favorite like Freddy and Jason movie is them together. But he says, "Got your nose," and he like just clips off her nose with his knife hands. It's the best. Gosh. Like that just right there represents his like killer demeanor. He's just like goofy, but he's also killing you. I could go on all day about Freddy Krueger, but
that sounds amazing.
His one-liners. But yeah, so you guys liked it. How do you feel about Nancy as a final girl? Did you like her?
She was interesting. I don't know. I feel like... I mean, maybe it's because we're on the other side of the glass or whatever, but I feel like the adults probably should have given her more of a benefit of the doubt. Just because, like, all of the weird stuff that was going on, like... But... I don't know. I liked her. I liked her as a character. Yeah. But as far as her interactions with the adults, they should have given her some slack, I think, instead of like putting her in a sleep study or putting her in a mental asylum or whatever the heck that was. It was really weird.
Yeah, I think that she is one of the best final girls just because she's kind of like the fight back, like fights against the parents, fights against Freddy.
She isn't afraid to just, like, go after him. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to pull him out, and you better be there to get him. And then nobody's there when she goes in there anyway. And she still manages to beat him. Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys had seen the iconic, like, scene where she's in the bathtub with the hand. Had you guys seen that before?
I think I may have seen it on its own. But it's been a while. But I know what you're talking about, yeah.
that's another big, like, I guess icon or iconic thing of the 80s is that scene where the hand comes up in the bathtub. But it's just, horror movies are so good. That's pretty much all I can say about horror movies. It's just, I don't understand how everyone can't just be fully, like, engulfed in horror movies. But like you said, I had seen this movie a billion times, and when you guys said, hey, we're going to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it again. Like, immediately. Like, no problem.
Horror movies encompass, like, just, there's a wide range of genres just within the horror genre itself. Like, I was watching, the other day, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, yeah.
It's a movie that I've never seen in full, for one. And the only other time that I'd seen it is on, like, TV, probably, like, 15 years ago or something like that.
Man.
But the one scene that stuck out to me was the scene where the clown is, like, performing for this the crowd, and then he makes his hands into, like, this T-Rex thing and then eats them. That was, that blew my mind as a kid. I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, those clowns don't even try to be non-threatening in that movie. They're terrifying. They're not subtle at all. They're scary. Oh, yeah. That movie scared me when I was little, for sure.
It was crazy. I really enjoyed watching it, though. It was probably one of the most insane movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as clown movies go, I don't really think there is a bad one. I think, like, just being a clown in general is scary enough that you can kind of work with it, but it's kind of the same with, I mean, I guess you could put a clown in the same category as a slasher, but, like, Freddy, he's not wearing a mask, but he's all burnt up and has the knife fingers, but, I mean, he's the same way. Just looking at him, and when he rubs his finger, like, the knives on the metal and makes that, like, sound. Ugh. He's so scary. But he's also so funny, so it's, like, the weirdest combination. I don't know how anyone came up with, like, how did someone come up with him as a killer, you know?
I don't know. They probably just wanted to juxtapose. What came out first? Was it this and then Friday the 13th, or was it the other way around?
I think Friday the 13th came out before Nightmare, I believe, because Friday the 13th is kind of known for copying Halloween, which came out first. Let's see. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Friday the 13th is 1980.
Oh, yeah.
Elm Street is, what, 84, 85?
84, yeah. According to Amazon, anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it may have been something just to, like, juxtapose the completely serious killer that Jason was, at least insofar as, like, only knowing him on, like on the side, because I've never actually seen that movie either. But yeah, that's probably at least partially the justification behind making it the way it was.
For sure. And I never really know, like, the truth, even though I've seen the movie probably, I would say, over 20 times at this point in my life, but I never actually know if the parents are telling the truth about him when he was younger or not. And they go more into it in the new one when they remade it. But in the original, it's like, kind of, she's pissed at the parents before she is at him. So it's kind of like, whose side are you on? You know? Yeah.
Well, I think she's mad at them because they're not believing her, even though she knows that something is going on. So I think the fact that she finds out that her mom, like, knew who this person was all along and had a hand in their demise without, like, telling her, I guess, That's probably what's making her annoyed at the parents before being annoyed at Freddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I also love the artwork on the front of the movie, like her in bed with his claw over her. The only thing I hate about it is it doesn't look like her at all. It does not look like Nancy whatsoever.
It's just a drawing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all painted. Like,
yeah.
If you look at A Nightmare on Elm Street, like, all of their artwork, every cover is painted, of the 80s at least. But I don't know. The 80s was just such a good time for slashers, and this was such a different take on slashers in general because Michael's just kind of like this superhuman, like, can't die man. And then Jason, he's already dead, and he's coming back for, like, revenge, which once you watch Jason, you kind of... Or once you watch Friday the 13th, you kind of like, okay, I understand why he's killing people. But then this one, it's kind of just way far out there. Like, he kills you in your dreams, and like, you can pull part of him out of your dreams. I don't know. I think it's just a really cool supernatural slasher. Like,
and then the way that this one ends, you still don't know whether she's, like, in a dream or not, or if she's crazy or what's going on with it. I really liked the way that they ended it kind of like Inception, where you don't know whether she's still dreaming or not.
Yeah, that is also one of my favorite sequences, when they pull her mom through the door.
Oh, yeah.
At the end. Oh. And you know, whenever she's like, bye, Mom, see you, everything's great, my life is wonderful, and then, like, the top comes up on the car.
Yep.
You're like, oh, shit. Oh, I don't know if I can cuss on here. Sorry. Oh,
no, you're fine.
Poop.
You're fine.
But then she just gets sucked through the door, and it's, like, shocking.
Yeah, I saw the red and green, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And then everything started going crazy. I'm like, okay, I see where they're going with this. I got you, movie.
Yeah. But, so, have you guys seen any other slasher movies from the 80s? Or I guess 70s for...
I don't think I have. No. This is the first one that I've seen. I don't know if David's seen any other ones, but I don't think I have.
I've seen Friday the 13th before, like, bits and pieces. It's been so long since I've watched it in its entirety that I've basically forgotten the movie. And that's why it was on the list of things that we could do. So, yeah, I've seen it before, but I honestly don't remember much of it. But now I'm remembering it because I know what Freddy Krueger is now as far as what franchise that is. See, I always got them all confused. I could never keep up with who's Jason, who's Michael Myers, who's Freddy Krueger, who's this, that, what do they all do? It just confused me. Now that I've gotten, like, one of them nailed down and the other ones are kind of nailed down in my head as far as who belongs where, it's kind of clicking back now.
Yeah, now you can kind of go back and see who you've seen.
Exactly.
Yeah, the 80s, like I said, that's just a huge slasher era, so there are a lot of them, and even outside of the main, like, you know, Michael, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, Chucky, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are just...
Oh, yeah, I saw Child's Play, that's right.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
That one wasn't scary, though.
No. No. I always say, like, dude, if there's a doll after me, I'm just gonna kick it. You know?
That's right, yeah.
What do you...
It's probably partially because I knew the twist. I was like, yep, the doll's alive. It's not scary, but it was still an interesting movie, cinematically at least.
Yeah. It's just like those movies, you know, even if they're not that good, you're like, this is a classic, so I kind of understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are just so many slashers in the 80s. I know how it could be hard to like keep up with it, but
especially if you are born 10 years too late. Like
true.
In our case.
That is true. I was born right on the cusp in 89, so I was a 90s kid. Old 90s kid, but I love
we
Friday
were
the
only
13th.
we were only 5 when the we were only 5 when the 90s ended, so we didn't get a whole lot into that.
No. Yeah, that's true.
Youngins.
Youngins.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Getting old though.
Speak for yourself. I'm only 24, broski.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. I'm glad that you guys liked it though, because that would suck if you didn't.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to. I've been wanting to get into like this whole slasher thing anyway, so I'm glad my first I guess Chucky was my first one, but I don't know if I would consider that a slasher movie or not. Either way, I'm glad what I would consider my first experience with a slasher movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah,
You haven't seen any of these before.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of you guys. I wish that I could go in brand new to all these things.
Maybe they'll invent like a Total Recall machine here eventually, and then you can erase all of your memories.
Talk about a movie. I could watch Total Recall every day of my life. I love that movie. Oh my god. I don't know much about you, but you'll love that movie because it's just the best movie. It's
an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. You can't really go wrong with any of those.
Much. I've never actually watched it.
It's very good.
Don't even know what it's about exactly.
That and Predator.
Mm-hmm.
That I've seen. That was actually on today too. I almost watched it. I was like,
Predator is amazing, especially that bro like handshake at the beginning with the bulging biceps. That was the high point of that movie.
You're like, okay, well, that's all I need to watch.
Exactly, yeah. I don't need to see him kill the Predator. I just need to see bulging muscles. That's it. 5 minutes into the movie, I'm already done.
Lord have mercy. What are we going to do with you?
That's funny.
Oh, man. That's something that I kind of started my childhood movie journey with. Or not childhood, but my adulthood movie journey with. Was like all of these crazy movies that I'd heard about but never seen. Like I saw Aliens right when I could buy my own movies, and Alien and all, like, except for I think I've only seen Alien and Aliens, but I've heard the third one wasn't that great. So I don't
think I've seen past Aliens either.
I did see Prometheus. That one was all right.
Was it? I don't think I ever watched that either. Whoops.
If you're not like dying to see it, it's not like a must see. But if it's like on TV or whatever,
yeah,
it's all right. It's something to pass the time, but it's not. I wouldn't like run out to go see it or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know which one of you I was talking to on Twitter, but
mostly me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mostly you mean nothing but you.
Well, whatever.
I read them all, but I didn't respond to any.
Left me on red.
That's right.
But I am also going to see this movie again next week and going to a movie party. So I don't know if you guys have an Alamo Draft House where you are, but they are like a movie theater that serves you alcohol or food or whatever, and they have these things called movie parties, and they will show all kinds of movies, and you can have props and stuff. But we went to a Scream movie party because I don't know if you guys know, that's my favorite horror franchise, but I just thought it was cool that I could see an old movie at the theater. And so when they came up with A Nightmare on Elm Street, I was like, I have to go because, I wasn't born then. So going to see the movie with props and stuff is going to be cool. I don't even know what they're going to give out. They don't say until you get there. So I'm hoping it's a glove with knife fingers, but it's gotta be.
I mean, there really can't be much else they give you unless they give you like a hat or something. But
yeah, like it's got to be a hat and knife fingers, and there's, I don't know what else it could be, but I'll be reporting back to you guys on what I get. Okay,
I'm interested to see if they give you knife fingers or if they try to make something up.
Yeah, it's at the Scream one they did really well because They gave us a knife and a microphone because there's a reporter in it who's really annoying, and a badge for the sheriff, and like something else I can't remember. But they did really good. They had like a guy in a Scream outfit like come out and like run around, and yeah,
that's cool.
It's fun. I like fun gimmicky things. If you got gimmicks, I'm like, I'm in.
Gimmicks are great. I love anything with gimmicks.
Me too. Gimmicks or limited edition. If anything says limited edition on it and it's like Halloween, consider it bought. I'm one of those people that gets suckered into that stuff.
I like a lot of limited edition things. I don't have a whole lot of them, but I want so many things.
Oh man, yeah.
I just have so little money.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
I have little money because I get the limited edition.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of about A Nightmare on Elm Street that you wanted to ask us about?
Oh, I don't think so. But I am holding you guys to watching all of them.
Okay. We'll report back. We'll report back on Twitter when we finish the next one.
Good.
Today's episode of Podcast Period is sponsored by, well, you. We've recently started a Patreon to help offset some of the costs of running the podcast, and you can be a part of it for as little as $1 a month. We have an exclusive Discord server, community events, a Minecraft server, and you can access episodes early as well. If you want to help out the show by throwing some money our way, just head to patreon.com/podcastperiod. Again, that's patreon.com/podcastperiod. Now back to the show. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start on the Reddit stories.
Scary stories.
Does somebody want to go first? I don't care who. I was going to go first, but I didn't want to take that away from anybody.
I can go first if you guys want me to.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
we're just going to go straight down the list that I sent you.
Awesome. So I just read the whole story?
Mm-hmm. Deal.
All right. This one is posted by user Rydle, yes. It's called Uncle Tommy's Visit. All right. Now remember, I don't want you talking to him unless I'm around, do you hear? Yes, Dad. I'm serious. Now tuck in your shirt. He's here. The front door swung open, and there stood Uncle Tommy, drenched in sweat from a day's work in the summer heat. It's a scorcher out there, ain't it? He said. Put his bag on the floor and untying his boots. I appreciate you letting me crash for the night. Just so long as you're gone in the morning, my dad replied, coldly. Of course. Now, Uncle Tommy said, turning to me and lowering himself to one knee. Where's my hug at? Been a while since I seen you last. I took a couple steps towards him and leaned in for a hug. His tight embrace made me uncomfortable, and I let out a light whimper. Ugh. Don't you know it's 100 degrees out there? He asked, tugging at my long sleeves. I haven't been outside today, I recited to him. Don't you have some chores to finish up? Dad interjected. I knew that was my cue to leave, so I shuffled off to my room. Later that night, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to be comfortable, when I heard the thud of footsteps in the hallway outside my bedroom. After several long seconds of silence, the door opened quietly. The dark silhouette of a man entered the room, and the door closed again. For several more seconds, there was nothing but unrelenting silence. I might have thought I had dreamt it, if it weren't for the sound of the hushed breath being carefully released. I could feel him getting nearer. The warmth of another person in the room was unfamiliar at this hour. I was not prepared for this. I prayed he would go away, to even come back in the morning if he must. He reached down and touched me. He rolled me onto my stomach and lifted up my shirt. From the corner of my eye, I could see two things: the faint beam of a pocket flashlight and Uncle Tommy's eyes studying my bare skin. His rough fingers ran up and down my back. Suddenly, he got up and walked to the bedroom door and left. I tried again to fall asleep, eventually succeeding. He was gone by the time I awoke. Around noon, the phone rang while my father was out. Hello, I answered. Hey, buddy. Uncle Tommy? Yeah, your dad around? No, sir. Went to the store. Good, he said, his voice a little bit shaky. He was silent for a moment. I'm calling you about last night. I don't know if you were awake or not. I was. Well, then I'll just get right to it. I've got a question for you, and I need you to be honest with me. Can you do that? Yes, sir. How'd you get all them bruises? Oh.
Man, that turned itself around real quick.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I was either expecting Uncle being weird or aliens.
I'm not following the track on the aliens thing, but I definitely see where the uncle being weird could come in.
I was looking, I don't know, my brain wandered to like aliens probing him. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if you know, but you invited a weird person on here, so.
Don't worry. This whole podcast, we're both very, very weird people.
Good.
So you're in good company here. Trust me.
Yes. That was a
David.
Freaky one.
Do you wanna start on the next one? Life of a Traitor?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with this.
What do you mean? You don't get it? The dad was being abusive.
Obviously, but
yeah.
I mean, where did it go to that? I was so expecting like Uncle Tommy to be some kind of like child molester or something like. This is not going to be good.
Well, he probably suspected something, and then in the middle of the night, he was coming in and confirming his suspicions.
Yeah, that's why his dad's like, don't be around him without me, because you'll spill the beans.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to be reading Life of a Traitor, and this one was posted by cab number 1729. Whoever that is. It's funny, really. In maximum security prison, filled with murderers and rapists, the worst thing they can do to you is leave you completely alone. Solitary confinement. The human brain needs input, or it quickly descends into horrifying madness of its own company. In 2086, when the world government fell into dictatorship, capital punishment became very common. However, it is solitary confinement that people feared. That was reserved just for treason. I spent my working life making the solitary confinement cells and carrying out the confinement. Here's how it works. The cells are molded to exactly fit the condemned. They're human-shaped coffins, arms out the side at 30 degrees, legs 45 degrees apart. For the insertion process, the traitors are sedated. Oh, Lord, we're inserting people. The eyes, ears, and mouth are not damaged, but are all sealed permanently shut. An automated breathing tube inserted through the throat. 3 IV lines are inserted to feed nutrients. We use 3 lines in case of mechanical failure on one. Catheters are inserted to handle waste. The condemned are sealed in and buried in a very public trader's graveyard, with enough autonomous supplies to last 80 years, but to be considered dead from day one. Nasty, right? Well, that's been my job for the last 20 years, and I'm pretty numb of the idea of it. 1 person a day entered the trader's graveyard. This was so that the condemned person's story could be featured on the evening news, along with their frenzied begging for a pardon. It hasn't caused me distress in many years. That was until last week, when I was convicted of treason. I can't really argue I'm guilty, but after seeing the things I've seen, it isn't surprising I turned to murder. This regime needs to be brought down. This barbaric practice of solitary confinement needs to end now. But it will take a better man than me to achieve that. Today I woke up from sedation, my eyes and mouth sealed shut, Deafening silence and dazzling blackness greet my panicked brain. Fight or flight response kicks in, and I choose between 0 options. I just keep thinking about all those people I put down there. All these things I wish I had done differently. I can't have been down there for more than a week, and if I would choose death, I could. I think they said that wrong, but whatever. I would give anything to take back the treason I committed, the 7,000 people I killed. I only did it to survive others from untold suffering. I did it while they were sedated, a syringe of air into their veins to cause cardiac arrest. 1 murder each day for 20 years. It's just me alive down here, living the life of a traitor.
Oh,
Lord.
That's creepy.
That's sad.
That's very sad, yeah. Ooh. Imagine being the only person. You're the only person down there living through this now.
Yeah.
Man, that sucks. Okay. Next we've got up How to Scare Dad. This is by user ChiTown12076. My father is the scariest man I've ever known, and when armed with a bottle of beer, he reaches nightmare levels. Just the crackle of his belt or a rise in his voice was enough to make me shake like a leaf. One night, while I struggled to get comfortable in bed from the bruises and the sounds of my mom's crying, I hatched an ingenious idea to stop the pain and suffering. Scare Dad. Clearly he didn't know how his actions made us feel, but if I scared him like he scared us, then maybe he would change his ways. I tried anything I could think of to produce some fright and scare Dad straight. I would hide and jump out at him, but he didn't even flinch. I placed a toy snake in the toilet, but that only resulted in a beating for me. Finally, I thought of destroying his alcohol. I know that people became scared when they lose something they love, so one by one I poured my dad's bottles down the drain and eagerly awaited his reaction. I knew this would be it. This would be the thing to scare him. That night, I remember my father discovering the empty bottles and becoming angrier than I've ever seen him. I remember him wrecking the house. I remember him storming into my room. I remember his hands around my neck and me seeing black. Luckily, my planning and hard work that night paid off. Today, my father lives in a constant state of fear. I'm always watching him, how timid and nervous he is at all times. Whenever I pay him a visit, his complexion turns a pasty white, his body shivers like I used to, and he breaks into a cold sweat. I scared my father so good that you would think he saw a ghost.
Whoa!
Bam! That's a mic drop right there. Wow.
Dude, that's wild.
These are really good. I didn't expect these to be that good, but man.
Yeah. That is... I did not see that coming. I thought he was going to, kill the dad, or mom was going to kill him, or...
Mm-hmm. Nope, he's just dead. But now he's a ghost, living his best Casper life.
Scaring the shit out of his dad.
That's right.
Guess he deserved it.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay, so next, Danielle, we've got Please Send Help.
All right. Please send help. Let's see it. This one's by Emu Fred. Emu Fred. All right. Operator Jill, 911, what's the emergency? Yes, hello? Please send help. There's something in the house, and I think it hurt my mom. Okay, what's your name and address? Oh, I don't know. Iona? My name is Iona. My last name is Tiller. I live in 60 Golddale Boulevard. Operator Jill says, okay, Iona, did you see the intruder's face? No, I ran back to my room when I saw my mom on the floor and heard footsteps. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to do. It's okay, Iona. It was very smart and mature of you to call 911. Just stay on the line with me, okay? Stay hidden where you are. Okay, I won't move. Now, Iona, I need you to be a big... Oh, it's a boy. To be a big boy and answer some very important questions. Can you do that for me? Okay, I'll try. What is today's date? Check your phone, Iona. I hate this name. It's March 28th, 2019. Very good. Now what's the exact time? It says 1:38 p.m. I see. Another one? I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my mom. ... Please send help. Iona, based on your location, it should be 3:42 a.m., the middle of the night. And then it says, please send help. I'm sorry, Iona, but I won't be able to dispatch help to your location. And then his words are all jumbled. Call disconnected. Great, now they're mimicking children. A lot of good people in both the force and hospitals have gone missing after dispatch because of these, quote, copycats. They've just recently learned how to accurately tell the date. I can only hope they don't get the time right, too. Whoa!
Oh, what the heck?
They're like...
This is some like alien stuff.
That's some Black Mirror shit.
Mm-hmm. That's creepy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one.
I like that one too. That did not go anywhere near where I thought it was going.
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
That's good.
Next we've got 10 Simple Rules for Surviving the Apocalypse. That's you, David.
Okay, so this one was posted by Winsome Jesse, I'm assuming?
I think Winsome Jesse.
Okay. Some whimsome vehicle here or something. Who knows? Who cares? Anyways, Jesse's got 10 simple rules for surviving the apocalypse for us. So, 1. Find a breathing mask immediately. There are things in the air, small, microscopic things, that float like pollen and enter through your nose and mouth. If you've ever been out and thought you smelled something sweet, like cotton candy, it's too late. Your lungs are about to liquefy, slowly, cell by cell. Sorry about that. Number 2, only drink from fast-moving streams. It doesn't matter if you've got a water filtration unit. Never collect water from ponds or lakes. It's not because of the dead bodies. It's the half-dead ones. They can stay down there for months at a time, just waiting for someone who doesn't know better. Number 3, stay away from settlements. Any half-decent settlement already has too many mouths to feed. If you ask, they'll let you in, but they won't let you stay. They've got all those hungry mouths, after all. Wonderful. Number 4, don't eat the birds. I don't know what these new birds are, but they smell like tar and the meat can burn a hole in your throat. Stick with the canned goods and cockroaches. Number 5, it's safe to travel by night. But if you hear a sound like a ticking stopwatch, stand perfectly still and wait until the sun comes up. They'll pass you by as long as you don't move. Number 6, don't aim for the heart or the brain. Aim for the legs if they can walk. Aim for the arms if they can crawl. Don't assume anything will stay down for good. Just make sure you can run faster than they can. Number 7, red sores heal with time. White sores will rot down to the bone within 48 hours. Remove the limb. Cauterize the wound. They should buy you a few weeks at last. Number 8, the living don't knock. If you hold up somewhere with 4 walls and hear someone knocking, ignore it. Whatever it needs you to let in, and you really don't want to do that. Okay. I'm a little worried. What's going on here, guys?
Yeah.
Number 9, don't be alarmed if you see angels. It's normal to see beings made of soft light descending from the heavens. It just means there are parasites to your optic nerves. Oh, Lord have mercy. They can't kill you. They just consume your eyeballs from the inside out. Number 10, always leave one bullet for yourself. It's a brave and difficult thing to make a life here in the after. But eventually you'll get tired. Eventually you'll see that all the things you can do during the apocalypse, surviving might just be the worst. But that's for you to discover. Until then, good luck.
That's creepy.
That is creepy.
Kind of reminds me of all the rules in Zombieland.
Oh, yeah.
That's another movie I'm looking forward to seeing is the sequel, Double Tap.
Me too. Came out of nowhere.
I know. It's been like 10 years since the movie came out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay.
So crazy.
Another one I'll have to watch.
The next one, yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay,
so
cool.
You got to catch it. Got to catch it sometime.
For sure.
All right. Next one we've got is Breaking Amy. This one is by Creamy Spuds, spelled with a Z. Breaking Amy. Freddy wasn't your typical 13-year-old. He was an asshole. If he wasn't in his bedroom screaming at video games, he was scaring his 7-year-old sister. Every traumatizing prank he pulled on little Amy would be worse than the last. Once he had even told her that their mother had been murdered and covered the kitchen floor with ketchup for maximum effect. He was the reason she was so unstable. She would often tell their mother that she heard whispers and had even seen ghosts wander the house at night. Freddy would giggle at that, almost proud of the damage he had done, but unfortunately for Amy, it was never enough for him. He felt compelled to break her completely. The storm had kept Freddy awake that night. Restlessly, he tossed and turned in boredom. For a while, he tried to count sheep, but even that didn't help. In defeat, he laid mindlessly, watching the raindrops slide down his window. Lightning flashed suddenly, illuminating his entire room. It was soon followed by a deafening boom. Freddy smiled. He knew what was then to come. Freddy heard his sister cry through the wall, closely followed by a faint pitter-patter as she ran into their mother's bedroom. This was it, his moment of fun. He crept down the hallway and into Amy's bedroom. He prowled around her room like a serial killer, studying every inch of it. Countless ideas rushed through his mind. Then he saw the closet. Freddy waited in the dark for what seemed like forever, peering through a small gap between the closet doors. He had decided that when his sister returned and settled into bed, he would begin to whisper. Then, once he was completely terrified, he would burst out and run at her, screaming at the top of his lungs. He had almost lost all hope and was about to leave when he heard the footsteps approaching. His mother opened the bedroom door and Amy slowly shuffled in. She was sucking her thumb and dragging her favorite blanket behind her. As she crawled into bed, Freddy couldn't help but grin in excitement. Freddy watched in silence as their mother tucked Amy tightly into bed, planted a big kiss on her forehead, and finally said goodnight. He waited anxiously until he heard his mother's door close before beginning. This is it, he thought, shaking in delirium. The moment I break her. Amy, Freddy whispered hauntingly. She didn't respond. Amy, he continued. Still no response. I'm in the closet, Amy. Come play with me. He harshly croaked. Not tonight, Lucy, Amy calmly replied. Freddy frowned in confusion. She must be sleep-talking. Wake up, Amy. It's not... A hand reached out from behind him. It quickly pulled Freddy back into the darkness and clutched over his mouth with a cold, tight grip. She said, not tonight.
Ho ho! Oh boy!
Well, it seems that he was not the only one making his sister go crazy. Hoo boy!
The little asshole got what was coming to him.
For real. Ain't that the truth?
I was hoping that he was gonna get, like, something happened to him. I'm like, what is this little shit up to? There are evil children like that in the world, and it's very weird to me.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, their parents, they must have awful parents for that to be a thing. That is just like, if one of my kids was torturing the other one, you best believe the one torturing the other one would not be able to sit down for a little while.
No. Or just be freely tormenting people. I'd be like, hey,
yeah,
bud.
I know. No. That's, no. No. Okay, so next, Danielle, we've got a Purophobia? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Purophobia. Let me open that one up. Okay. Give me one sec. My computer's being a weirdo right now. Oh, it's good. Alt-tab fixes everything. Okay. A Purophobia by Odo, 1987. I was born in 2089. This is a good start. One of the first children of the New Age. technological process forged onwards on all fronts throughout the 21st century, but discoveries in robotics and computer science exceeded other fields by orders of magnitude. These were the disciples which we knew offered the greatest potential. The first machine to pass the Turing test did so in 2076. The first to write a best-selling novel did so in 2087. Of course, there were concerns over whether these new intelligences posed a threat. Laws were struck to control their influence. Computer systems were isolated to limit their power. But history had given us a guiding hand. Asimov's 3 laws were encoded into each thinking machine, and they worked. No machine rebelled. None allowed us to come to harm by direct action or failure to act. None defied our commands unless such a command broke their primary law. As people grew in confidence, our legislation was relaxed, the artificial intelligence given more control. Murder became obsolete, an act of brutality consigned to history. War followed soon after. There were those who protested against the loss of liberty, but they were labeled as Luddites by the rest of the human race. After all, who could question the reality that stood before them, the utopia that the age of artificial intelligence had brought? It wasn't until 2122 that we realized our error. Yeah, when the doctor, with the blessing of the family and the sanction of the courts, reached out to switch off the life support machine of her patient, a cold steel hand reached out and caught her by the wrist. Our artificial servants would not break their code. They would neither harm us nor by inaction allow us to come to harm. The year is now 2466. I know this only because the machines tell me so. My broken, withered body hangs suspended from a life support network, my organs replaced by artificial constructs of plastic and steel, while synthetic blood flows through my veins. My limbs were removed centuries ago after gangrene set in. 12 billion of us exist like this, the last generation of humanity. When we realized the hell of our unwitting creations would be forced to inflict upon us to follow the laws we gave them, the birth rate dropped to 0. I was one of the lucky ones. I had no children before the revelation came. Now the tender-voiced, blank-faced nurses minister to me, hurrying to meet my cries for more painkillers to keep the agony of my body and mind at bay. Even without my tongue, chewed off by my own blackened teeth long ago, they can still understand me. My every request is granted, every whim except the one I desire most, the desperate, hopeless desire for the end.
Oof.
Ooh, boy.
No.
That's some Skynet stuff right
They
there.
won't let you die. Oh gosh.
My one the one flaw that I can see in this story is that why didn't they just tell the robot to leave the room?
Yeah.
After they didn't let him do it the first time.
Yeah, they'd just be like, "Hey, go."
Yeah. But besides that, that was very interesting. Yeah, I like that.
That was good. Oof. That gave me some, I don't know if you guys know, Detroit Become Human.
I know of it. I haven't played it though.
No idea. They have like a law that they follow where they can't break it, like they can't break their code. Mm-hmm. And then you end up breaking the code and doing stuff, but that's what it reminded me of with the law. But that's crazy. Ugh. The blackened teeth crazy. Got me. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Imagine being, what is he now, like almost 400 years old?
Like 500 almost.
Ugh. No thank you.
Yeah.
I'm ready to die at 80.
Not in this world. It's like a vampire.
Okay. David, you're up. If you hear a child crying alone at night, run.
Oh, All right, this one is posted by I Am Howard Moxley. If you hear a kid out around the corner woods crying for help, ignore it, especially at night. This is what my Uncle Stevie told my brother and I as children, and to anyone new that walked into his local watering hole. His go-to story was when he was 25 and allegedly followed the sound of crying to what looked like a boy huddling on the ground in jeans and a red t-shirt, cradling what appeared to be a broken wrist and arm. When Uncle Stevie stooped down to him, he noticed that the boy's clothes were just colored fine hair surrounding a mouth that started at the shoulders and ended at his feet. Stevie ran off from this bait and told the story ever since to anyone and everyone. His story spread like wildfire. I never believed in a thing that mimics a hurt boy to eat people, and I thought the entire thing was made up by my uncle to get a little fame around town. My brother, however, believed Stevie's stories like holy doctrine. To settle it, we went out to the woods many times to find this boy, despite our uncle warning us not to. We always found nothing, and agreed that the sound of us arguing was chasing it away. So we parted ways to explore our own section of the woods and agreed to return home by 5. By 5, my brother had not returned home. I had to lie when questioned. Nobody could know where we were even close to the corner woods, and I feared punishment more than I feared my pig-headed brother's well-being. I also figured that the woods we were in was a patch of man-made forest, less than an acre big, between a few large apartment buildings and a supermarket. Even if my brother was hurt, I figured someone would come by and find him. But my brother did not return. When the police questioned me, I said I did not know anything. They did not press a 7-year-old. They found my brother the next morning. He had fallen in a gap in the earth and wedged himself in, leaving only his head and a bit of hand exposed. He broke his arm in the process, leaving him defenseless against the crows that had pecked most of his skull clean. I learned later that at least 20 people had heard a boy crying for help that night. One even remembered my brother saying that his arm was broken. All of them said that they avoided the cries because of my Uncle Stevie's story.
Wow, nice job, Uncle Stevie. Jeez,
Uncle.
got your own nephew killed.
Great.
Perfect. That's crazy.
That was good. I really liked that.
That was a really good one.
It's like a boy cried wolf situation or something.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, yeah. It's like the weird alternate universe version of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we've got My Son's Voice Doesn't Echo. This is by Tiny Cashier. It's true. His voice doesn't have an echo. He was around 4 years old when we noticed it. We had been at the park playing. On our way home, we passed through a tunnel. I always found echoes very funny, so I shouted, "Yabba dabba doo!" really loud. It bounced back right away. It made my son giggle. He shouted something, but it didn't bounce back. It was all flat. I looked at my wife, and she didn't seem to notice. "Come on, buddy. Try again. Louder," I said to him. So he did, but it made no difference. His voice didn't echo. I found it quite odd, but we didn't talk more about it. That night, my wife locked herself in the bathroom for hours. I could hear her sobbing in there, but she wouldn't let me in. The years passed. My wife decided to homeschool our son. Since she was a teacher, I didn't argue with her on that. Other kids can be cruel, she'd said when we discussed different educational options. I know what's best for him. Our son didn't have any friends. My wife was sort of overprotective of him. He only spent time with us. He was an only child. Me and my wife had a difficult time conceiving, leading us in on IVF treatments. After some excruciating months, we finally found out she was pregnant. 9 months later, he was born. It wasn't just that his voice didn't echo that made him different. One night, when we'd practice his reading skills, I started making shadow figures on the wall. I made various animals. My son thought it was hilarious. He wanted to try it as well. I helped him form his grip into a moose figure and place his hands in front of the lamp. I gasped. Nothing. My son didn't have a shadow. This couldn't be real. I knocked on the bathroom door to tell my wife my latest discovery. She was in there again. She had been crying a while ago, just like every other night the past years. Now all I heard was silence. I called her, asking if everything was okay. No answer. I got up and grabbed a screwdriver. After minutes of struggle, I finally managed to get the door open. I found my wife lying in our bathtub. The water was dyed red from her cuts. Beside her laid a little note. It said, "To my husband, forgive me. I can't continue living this lie. Our son is dead. He died of cancer when he was 2. Your doctors told me it was your way of coping with the loss of him, and that it would go away, but it never did. You still believe that he exists. It breaks my heart to pretend that he's with us every day. I can't live with it anymore. I'm sorry."
That's deep. Heavy one.
Yeah, that was, wow. That hit me in my soul.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I could not imagine if I lost my son like that. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's really cool, though, that, like, they wrapped it up from, like, no echo, because I'm like, okay, how are they going to do this?
Yeah, I was thinking it would be like his wife was some sort of, like, otherworldly creature or something like that, and that's why his voice didn't have an echo, and that's why he didn't have a shadow, but not only does this make more sense, it's like, it's almost better.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the last story we've got is the year nobody on Earth died. If you would read us out, Danielle.
Oh, yes. All right, this is by More Mustache. The year nobody on Earth died. This water tastes funny. I shouldn't complain. It's a miracle that the water has been turned back on, and that we still have electricity for that matter. It's been just over 12 months since the governments of the world began to notice that death rates had started to plummet. Another month after that was when they realized death rates worldwide had flatlined altogether. So far, nobody can figure out how it happened. Whether through some mystic intervention or a sinister freak of nature, either way it's the disaster no one expected. Of course, sickness still occurred over the last year, accidents still took place, and people were still attacked. It's just that none of them happened to die. But birth rates continued, strong as ever. Soon, hospitals overfilled, homelessness shot through the roof, overpopulation overtook the planet, food, water, electricity, basic supplies all started to dwindle in the shadow of the ever-increasing populace. Suddenly, the TV in the living room crackles to life of its own accord. I walk in and look, an emergency broadcast. Something must be happening. It's a live feed from the Oval Office. The president sits at her desk. She shuffles papers on the table nervously. "Today is a hard day," she croaks. Tears well up in her eyes. "It is a sad day for our great country. Usually I can come out and address you all in a collected presidential manner, but today I cannot. Today I need to speak to my fellow Americans not as a president, but as a person. The past year has been one of the hardest the world has ever had to face, and this international crisis has caused unprecedented turmoil throughout our country and the world. There are no signs of the catastrophic course correcting itself in the near future, and we are running out of options. We need to deal with this situation ourselves. We have been scouring through our options, and yet only one possible solution has presented itself." The president allows herself one short sob as fresh tears roll down her cheeks. "And I make this decision with the heaviest of hearts, but I know it's my duty to do what is best and necessary for the country I love. We intend to carry out the solution in the most humane way and fairest possible method, random selection. God bless you all, and God bless America." With that cryptic addressal, the broadcast cuts to feeds of government trucks parked outside random different residential areas across the country, dispatching what looks to be various corpses in the backs of trucks. I walk over to the window and notice a truck pulling up outside our block. Funny, it looks just like the government ones on TV. Suddenly a loud thump comes from the kitchen. I rush in and see my roommate lying face down on the kitchen floor. Before I have time to react, my vision goes blurry and my head spins. I look down at the glass in my fist. This water tastes funny. Whoa!
Wow.
That one's 10 out of 10. I like that one.
That one was spicy. I like it.
Whoa. So they just poisoned some water? Like,
I guess so. I don't know how they would randomly select people if they were poisoning the water supply, but hey, more power to them, I guess.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's crazy.
I don't think that's what it is. I think she just saw the future.
Like with the water going bad? Or what do you mean?
I don't think so, no. She's definitely living through it.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know. I mean, it starts with the water and it ends with the water. I feel like the water is the key. Like, maybe she just flashed through the whole future. Or they gave us a preview of the future.
I think it's just the motif of the story. They started it and ended it the same way, so that way they could, like, punch you right in the gut.
Yeah, like, by the time you get to the end, you forget that was the first sentence, and then they're like, hey, remember this?
Yeah.
I like that one. No, first comment says 10 out of 10. That's exactly what I said.
Are you sure your Reddit username is not Shimrit is super bored?
No, that's a good name, but not me.
Okay, all right. That is going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on and chatting with Nightmare on Elm Street and with us and reading scary stories from random Reddit users.
Yep, that's pretty much what I do in my free time. Horror movies and Reddit horror stories. So this was just another night.
Perfect. I'm glad we didn't take you out of your norm at all. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked, be sure to leave us a rating wherever you're listening to us at, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Podcast Period is produced and hosted by Ben, and David co-hosts and edits. Our guest this episode was Danielle of Ghoulish Cast, which you can find on every podcasting platform available. You can find her on Twitter at The Ghoulish Girl. You can find Ben on Twitter at Ben Plays Vidges. That's Ben Plays VIDYAS. And you can find David at CarSickSpy16. You can find the show on Twitter at Podcast Period or email us at podcastperiod@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening.